When America entered World War I in 1917, it was the Jenny that taught thousands of our aviation cadets how to fly. As simple as the Model T, forgiving to the raw recruit at the throttle, sturdy enough that a rookie could often walk away from a crash. Daring young men who began training in Jennies dreamt of becoming aces. With as little as 15 hours flying time, they rushed off to Europe, combat, and a life expectancy of less than 3 weeks. The planes they flew in battle are now part of our history. This is a real classic, a Spad-XIII, the rugged French-built biplane that became one of the most famous fighters of World War I. Some of the most dashing and heroic names of the whole war are associated with Spads. Eddie Rickenbacker, the Lafayette Escadrille, the Dawn Patrol. This one was flown by a young American lieutenant named Arthur Brooks. He went through 3 other Spads before this, naming each one after his fiancee's alma mater, Smith College. This is Smith 4. Lieutenant Brooks downed 6 enemy planes, the last of them in this aircraft.
I was surrounded, and that isn't a very good feeling. You didn't have time to do anything except to have every second to twist your head, as I figure a chicken does, any way that you can imagine, because you couldn't afford to be without knowledge as to where there was something coming from any angle, any height, or whatever.
The plane flew 50 hours over the Verdun front during one of the most horrible battles of the entire war. You see this German cross? It marks a bullet hole, and there are 63 others like it in the plane. The fabric is cotton and too far gone to be restored. The wonder is that it's lasted as long as it has. But after restoration, the artists who work here at Silver Hill will have duplicated everything, bullet holes and all, including the 3 that hit the windshield right there, only inches from the face of Lieutenant Brooks.
And I expected to die. It's simple as that. What are you going to do about it? I wasn't there just to play around, and I wasn't there to dog rob or anything else. I was there to do what I could for the United States of America.
Brooks was one of the lucky ones.
September 14, 1918, Mars-La-Tour, France. American pilot Arthur Raymond Brooks, in a formation of 6 Spad-XIIIs, patrols over the Western Front. Soon, they spot 3 formations of German Fokker D-VIIs in the distance. The Americans move in. Instinctively, Brooks checks 6 and sees a formation of 12 enemy Fokkers.
I saw them as they neared us, but had no time to warn the leader of our flight, other than by just nosing down, gaining speed, and then turning to the right, over his head, and into the Fokkers.
Brooks's abrupt maneuver separates him from his flight. 4 of the German planes continue on to attack the rest of the Spads, but 8 stay to fight the lone American. The sky explodes to a furious and deadly contest. September 14, 1918. American pilot Arthur Raymond Brooks wings straight into the fight of his life. He's surrounded by 8 German Fokker D-VIIs.
I was scared, but in spite of much high tension and yelling at the top of my voice, I calculated, by the nature of my training I suppose, that I would get as many Fokkers as possible before the inevitable.
Brooks is up against a lethal adversary, the Fokker D-VII.
It is 100% universally felt that the Fokker D-VII was the best fighter aircraft of World War I. It had a wing that was thick, which allowed it to maneuver very quickly.
Brooks's Spad-XIII, with a 220 horsepower Hispano-Suiza 8BC engine and a top speed of 138 miles per hour, is sturdy but plagued with engine problems. Both planes are armed with two forward-firing machine guns. The Spad is faster and better in a dive, but the Fokker D-VII is more agile in a turning fight. Brooks initiates violent evasive maneuvers, skidding, looping, and diving, anything to prevent the circling Fokkers from getting a clean shot.
In the heat of the fight, Brooks was probably alternating between panic and the coolness of desperation. His mind was fixed on a number of things at once.
Adrenaline surges as he fights to stay alive amid the chaos of swirling airplanes. Suddenly, one Fokker dives towards him in a head-on pass. Desperate to save fuel and ammunition, Brooks heads directly at the Fokker, intent on ramming the German.
It seems like a real dramatic last-ditch move. No telling what damage you're going to inflict on your own airplane, or something like that.
Just before impact, the German peels under and dives away. Reverses. To survive, he must keep moving. Another Fokker bores in head-on. Brooks speeds by.
I turned immediately on another, feeling that a vigorous offense was the best defense.
Brooks is here. A Fokker is firing on him here. In this kind of dogfight, Brooks must take a shot at every opportunity. As the German dives on him, Brooks will skid out of the stream of bullets. Then, when the Fokker passes underneath, Brooks will roll over the top of his enemy and bring his guns to bear. The German bores in. Brooks pulls hard back on the stick. The Spad leaps skyward.
I had just enough time to dip enough to see his features before I fired incendiaries, and he was aflame.
All he had to do was pull himself across without having to slow down or align fuselage. He could rake his gun right across the plane.
It's a brilliant move. Brooks's two .303 caliber Vickers make quick work of the Fokker. One down, but he's facing 7 more. Brooks spots a Fokker at 2 o'clock, starting a pass.
That out of his peripheral vision, he realized, and believe me, you realize these things in a nanosecond, that the geometry to rake somebody else was right there.
Brooks cranks to the right and peppers the Fokker with machine gun fire. Two down. But knocking the Hun aircraft down may play to Brooks's disadvantage.
It was being surrounded that saved me thus far. The Germans could not shoot at me without being in their own way most of the time, or bringing one of their own aircraft into the line of fire.
The Germans just saw two of their squadron mates go down. They're angrier now. In terms of flying more aggressively, I'm sure it's like, we're going to finish this SOB right now.
The 6 other Fokkers thrown in like angry hornets, determined to knock the Spad out of the sky. September 14, 1918. American pilot Arthur Raymond Brooks has knocked out 2 German Fokker D-VIIs. But 6 remaining fighters close in. Brooks must stay aggressive and constantly on the move, never remaining a stationary target for long.
One of the things we typically do when in an outnumbered situation, you want to switch a lot. Work on it and switch back to somebody else.
White tracer ribbons could cut through between my wings often, so close that if I reached out my hand, the stream of bullets would have cut it off.
Brooks pitches up to evade another attack, but as he rolls over the top, his engine sputters. His prop windmills slowly. He's run out of fuel in his main tank. He switches to the auxiliary tanks located in the center section of the top wing.
I stared at the blade and instinctively nosed down just as an enemy burst swept in front of my forehead, shattering my windshield and clattering into my right gun, rendering it useless except for single shots.
He's in what's called the outer stratosphere of tension and anxiety and fear. In this environment, you don't have time to think. Too much is going on that's very heavy, so you're reacting. What happens is you fall back to your level of training in a situation like this.
Brooks manages to restart the engine. As he dives for airspeed, he gets lucky.
2 more Bosch planes in their tactical work happened to get in the way of my now single line of fire.
Brooks opens up. White-hot incendiary bullets, a new kind of ammunition designed to set enemy aircraft on fire, rip through the Fokkers.
This was still too much attention to suit me. I figured the danger was greater for me now than with the whole swarm, because there was less chance of the Germans getting in their own way.
Brooks decides to exploit the only advantage his Spad-XIII has over the Fokker D-VII, diving speed. His 220 horsepower Spad can outdive and outrun the Fokker D-VII. He bobs and weaves as the Germans lob tracers at him.
He knows that if somebody's back behind him shooting, if he continues straight and level, they're going to hit him. So he's trying to skid the airplane and just make himself unpredictable to get out of the plane of those bullets.
Finally, the Germans break off. The grueling dogfight is over.
I don't know how I got back. One incendiary bullet had burned itself out in the main spar of my upper wing. 5 bullets went through my fuselage within 4 inches of my back. Holes were scattered all over my poor Spad. The aircraft had to be salvaged.
During the incredibly intense action, Brooks has fought off 8 Fokker D-VIIs, the most advanced fighter of the war, while downing 4 of them. It's a stunning achievement, but under the victory rules of the day, Brooks is only credited with 2 kills. World War I ended less than a month after Brooks's epic battle. The 4 years of war saw astonishing leaps in aviation.
It's been guesstimated that in those 4 years, the extent of engineering and technical and operational knowledge that was gained was equal to what might have been 15 or 20 years of peacetime development.